that's a good question, because I think a lot of people don't want to like admit when they are doing something that's against their ideals. Especially when it comes to, like, everyone's always down, like, people want to learn and educate themselves and stuff, but no one wants to actually apply that education to themselves and look at the way that they're learning, or whatever they're learning, in the context of themselves and how they're going to like operate in the world. And so when it comes to like gender and stuff, like, I don't play with people with sexist comments, or with people saying little things that they're not realizing is offensive to themselves or to other people, and I'll call them out on it, because that's how it begins. That's how you start to change and create an actual environment of like equality, is when you start to question yourself and really ask yourself, am I being true to the things that I believe in? And so when it comes to race too, like, I'm just at a point where I'm not gonna try and coddle people into feeling bad about coddle people for how they're feeling. White people need to come and understand that there are a lot of the problems that we have in this country is because of them. And so the first way to solving that is for them to admit it and understand why they are a problem, and what they have done and what their past ancestors have done to get us to this point. And so I don't think we need to stop being so sensitive to each other, and being so like around the bush, and like kind of trying to be like aware of people's feelings, because everyone wants us, or like minorities, to go about our civil, like our basically our conquest for civil rights, for us to go about it in a respectful demeanor, and to be very like politically correct about it, when the people who are causing this same problem, they don't even want to talk about it, or acknowledge their hand in what is happening. I have to be quiet and have people feel comfortable, but I can't talk about how there are people who look just like me getting killed shot in the street. So I'm not gonna I'm gonna stay true to myself and the stuff that I learned, and try and teach that and put that onto other people. And so I think it's just a constant like battle within yourself of asking like all these things that are a problem in our country, in our world today. When you find out and you start to understand it, you need to every day ask yourself, how am I gonna go against that, or how am I gonna take in what I learned and actually apply it to myself? Because people are so quick to call out others, but won't do anything to change themselves. So I'm going to look at how I look at other women. If a girl posts something on Instagram or something, beforehand, people are quick to call her a hoe, or, all these demeaning words and stuff, but really she's just expressing herself. So it's just kind of looking, and like when you see something on social media, and that initial thought, and asking yourself, is that prejudice? Is that okay? Why did I think that? And then literally rewiring your brain to think a different way. And it's just daily steps. So that's kind of how I stay true to myself. I just always try and like question myself and call out myself if I say something or do something that's offensive or not right. And it's just always being in that constant mindset. So yeah. I think that Black men here, I think that we are. I think if we were all to sit in a room and just be completely honest with each other, and that we would all probably be having the same experience, that we're, for the most part, unhappy here. We don't feel a part of the school per se, or we don't feel like there's enough of us that look like us, that have had the same experiences around us. So I would say that like at the end of the day, at the bottom line, that we've probably all experienced the same things, but that maybe as a Black woman and a Black athlete, that my experience in terms of maybe like dating, or and yeah, definitely in terms of dating, and and just as being just an athlete, a female athlete, are very different. So a black athlete here, they have that instant, not success, instant popularity, instant, like people know them and recognize what they do. But there are so many black athletes, or not black athletes, sorry, for so many female athletes that have extreme amount of success and are doing a lot of things like on the track or in the court and stuff that aren't being as recognized as their male counterparts. And so I would say that experience is different. And then as a black female here, dating wise, it's completely different, because trying to find someone that you connect with on a deeper level is immensely hard, because there are a few people here when it just comes to like black people, just because you can always relate to them on that level, just with experience and stuff. There's just not enough of us here. Like there's 2.7% of black people at UW. Like that's not diversity whatsoever. And so I think that there's not even 1,000 black kids here. Like it's like I think it's like 700 or like 900 people, like black kids here. And so as a black female, and then when it comes to dating and stuff, like it's just harder, because our type and the type of men that you would want aren't here. And so and when it comes to going across race and stuff, that's totally fine with me. But then it starts to become an issue, because as a black female, I can be hypersexualized. And so, you know, I work out, so I have a butt, I have thighs and stuff. So I have aspects of a black female that historically have always been sexualized. And so when it comes to dating outside of your race and you're talking to guys, you start talking to them, you're not really sure if they're interested in you because they like you or they like what they see. And so it just becomes an inner battle, because then you're fighting for the few black men that are here, and you're fighting for those ones, and that whole dating a black man right now is just a roller coaster of its own that we can get into another discussion later. But you just start to feel kind of at a dead end. So if you try and go outside, you have the issue of not meeting a guy who will understand the different experiences that you've gone through, or a guy that just looks at you for your body and doesn't really want to go beyond that. And then when you start looking at black men, you have black men who negatively, like, look at black women in a negative way, or predominantly look at white women, or look at not even white women, at every race but black women. So it's just always like, you ain't got, I don't know, you don't really have much options. So like, yeah, I think at the end of the day, black athletes, female or male, would have the same experiences. But then when you start looking in certain scenarios, it starts to get a little different. So I think like you guys need to just understand where we're coming from. That if you really learn the history of the United States of America, that it is not like milk and fucking honey, like that we've been taught, and that you, as someone who hasn't firsthand experienced that pain, need to you need to educate yourself on what this country actually stands for, what it was built on, and how it treats its citizens. And I know it's hard, because you're literally, I'm asking you to erase your whole existence and everything that you've basically come to know. And as a 20-year-old or older, that's really hard to do. But there are people who are dying every day. There are people who are living in deep poverty. And this is a country where people throw away food like it's nothing. Like, I'll have half a sandwich left and throw it in the trash like it's nothing, while there's someone who's starving. So the amount of inequality that exists in this country is so deep, and we really need to all, like, especially people of like non-black people and white people especially, just take a step back and ask yourself, how can I like be a better person and how can I help these people in need. And it's not really, and like I don't want to change this into the narrative of like we need help, we need help, we need help. It's more so of taking us, we need help to get out of this system, but we also just want to like all just stand on our own. I don't think anyone really necessarily wants anyone to help them their whole life. Like, no, everyone wants to be independent. Everyone wants to do their own thing, be able to say that they got to where they're at by themselves. But there are also a lot of systemic issues that are barring specifically Black people and specifically people of color from getting to that point. And so I think you guys just need to kind of understand where we're coming from and imagine if it was your brother being shot by a cop within 0.2 seconds of the cop pulling you over. Or if it was, I mean, you even look at the Dakota Access Pipeline issue. You had, look at if you had Native Americans who were decimated by the American government. And you have the government literally trying to violate treaties that were signed by them, by the American government. Put yourself in those shoes, you know? Like, there's a lot of issues that are going on that's just not out of nowhere. They're not out of the blue. It's history happening over and over and over again. And it's because non-Black people and non-people of color refuse to acknowledge their hand in that history. And so it keeps happening over and over and over again. And so, like, just look at it from our shoes, and you would be sick to your stomach when you really understand what is going on and what is happening. And it's not just on a racial level; it's on a class level too. Look at how many, look at the amount of rich people and how much money they have, and how that has inequality and that gap has only grown over these years. You know, that's an issue in its own. Like the whole class issue, the class levels in America are just gone. There's no middle class. There's no people. They're like, you're either filthy rich or you're dirt poor. And that gap that's growing is because the government is banking on that. These corporate companies are banking on the lives of other people, on the backs of other people. And that alone is wrong. And so, question capitalism, question, democracy and democracy in America, question all that type of stuff, and then and ask yourself, is this okay? What is happening? Can you go to sleep at night? And the reason why a lot of you guys go to sleep at night is because it doesn't affect you. And and so until it starts to creep into your bedroom, you're not going to do anything. But that in itself is wrong, and you shouldn't stand by that. And so, I mean, I just try and hope that people start to get it. But yeah,
That's good.
Thanks.
Thank you.
No props.